Today we're going to talk about shading. What I asked you to do last time was to finish your drawing of the peach and the leaves and the peach slice, and to fold your paper over and to trace your drawing. Today we are not going to use our trace drawing. We're going to start the shading on our drawing that we did first. Remember that we used a cup to get our size of our peach, our whole peach, and then we shifted it down a little bit so we could kind of get anchored with the curve of the peach. Last time we also talked about how the size of the peach slice was the same or nearly the same as the whole peach. And when we compared that to the leaves, we noticed that the leaves were actually longer than the whole peach. Today, I'm going to refer to the value scale, and we're going to use value in 3 different ways. The first way is our goal is to make our drawing seem realistic and to have form. Okay, so think about a sphere. So the first way we're going to use value is to show the form. The second way is we're using pencil that does not have color, but our peach and our peach slice and our leaves have color. So we're going to be using value to show the differences in color. And lastly, we have some areas that have a lot of texture. So if we look at the center of the peach where the seed was, it's very rough and jagged. We want to show that. The peach skin is smooth and has a very soft texture, but the color is different. And lastly, if we're looking at the top of the leaf or the inside of the leaf, we see different values. On some of the leaves, we see a more jagged or serrated edge. So we're going to try to capture those details with our shading. And to show you that, it would take a very long time to do all those parts together in the video. So I'm going to show you a little bit of shading on those 3 areas and talk about those things. So let's take a look at the center of the peach where the pit or the seed was. Here the texture is very rough compared to the flesh. Let's think about how many values do we see. We have some areas that are super dark. That's like our 90 to 100% on our value scale. We have some areas that are medium. Here's medium, and then over here we have some more dark. Over here we have some dark. Here, where the stem of this seed was, there's this little dimple that we drew, and that's kind of a medium area. So we want to try to capture all of those areas. For some of our shading, the tip is going to need to be used because it's kind of jagged and we're using more pressure. I'm using more pressure, and if you notice, I'm starting to get some of those values and the textures in there. Okay? We said that we were using value first, so I want to see these kind of areas. Here's an area of value over here. That's pretty dark. Over here I have some areas that are kind of medium, and I'm going to leave the flesh of the peach blank for now, empty, our highlight. Coming over here to the peel of the peach, on the edge, where do I see light? We've talked about the dimple. It's darker. There's shadow here. Now, because this is on a table, it's going to have light bouncing up. So I can't just shade it any old way. I have to look and see. There's a little light shadow here. And so eventually we're going to commit to our shadow and make it a little darker, but we're not finishing. Last time we talked about if we were doing a portrait, we wouldn't just do one eye and finish it and then do the other eye, because the face would feel disconnected then. It would feel separate. Now this part right here in the dip is a little darker, but the whole thing's not darker, so just an edge is darker. Okay? All right, we'll come back to that in a moment. Now let's go up here and look at the peach itself. Okay? I'm giving it form, so I want to think about a ball. You will notice that this area is curved, and we'll notice this area is curved. So I think as we're shading, we're going to keep in mind that it's on a curve. And I'm lightening the pressure of my pencil, so I'm starting to build the form, the three-dimensional qualities. This area was lighter in the center here, so I'm leaving that lighter for now. And even though we have a darker shadow cast by the leaf, I'm not going to make it dark right now, or not as dark as what it is, but it is darker here and lighter beside it. Okay, so there's a little piece of light coming in beside it. So we'll start to create the form of the peach. I can't just look at the top, I also have to look at the side down here. So what's happening with the side? We might go back to our first assignment with our intersecting spheres. And I'm just going to put a little shadow there right at the edge, and then I'll come back and work on this some more. I will have to decide how this light compares with that dark. Okay? So, how does this dark, when I add the dark, it gives my whole peach form, but it also makes the front peach stand out more and come more to the front of our drawing, which is what we want. This is a little bit too light there, so let's make that medium. Okay? Likewise, I have to look at the back edge of the peach. This area of the peach, this shoulder is light, and it's light on top behind the leaves, but I see a little bit of shading right here on the edge as it's starting to turn. Think about a ball as it turns away from you. Okay, and so I'm going to have to work on this area and develop it a little bit more. So I'm just getting it started. I want to go for that roundness of the peach and think about that. I might even end up shading over my line here. Okay, next let's talk about the leaves. And the leaves are basically dark compared to the peach, the whole peach, and our slice is the lightest overall. But even within each leaf, in order for it to not look flat, we have to have areas of light and dark. So I think it's a little easiest to see if I start with the one in the back. Okay, so I'm looking at the back of the leaf, and I have to also look at the vein and think, is the vein light or is it dark? Well, it might change as I look at the different leaves. So if I look up here by the stem, on this one, the vein is light. And so I'm going to start and maybe shade away from that up to the edge. And you'll notice I'm using the side of my pencil. And then the vein is light, and then on the other side of the vein, I have more dark again. Okay, here the leaf is twisted, and it's pretty dark. And then because it's turning, it's lightening and getting lighter in value as it moves down the leaf. So in many, on many objects, the value is not going to be the same on the whole area. You'll notice that this leaf has the vein and it has a couple of crossovers or twists, so the value changes. So I want to show that. If I come back to this leaf where it touches this one, it's quite a bit darker right here at the edge, and so I'm going to go ahead and make that. That's probably going to be one of my darkest values, and that dark comes all the way up this edge and then kind of fades out. All right, now this leaf is not done, but if I look at everywhere the leaf has a wrinkle, here's another wrinkle, well then this is another place where that value is darker. So this is how I'm building form, by using the value change. And up here on this leaf. So I build in light or medium values first, and then I come back and check and accent and develop the darker areas. This part of the leaf over here is quite light. On this side, the light's hitting it from the top, so for right now, I'm going to leave that empty. I will need to do something with it, but not right now. Then I'm going to come to the second leaf, and I'm going to start with the curve, this big curve right here, and again, the vein is light, so starting from the vein out, and I might need to turn my paper, or I might need to use the tip, okay? If I overshade and I get too zealous and I lose my vein, I might have to put it back with an eraser, and the value comes all the way here to the edge. I want to be careful though that I keep this edge. Okay, and so I'll work around. If I look at this first leaf, I'll notice that the top part is more flat and light, and where it changes direction, so where it bends right about here, this leaf is quite dark. So where it's turning this corner, and because it is dark right here, I cannot even see really the vein. It sort of disappears. And I'm going to shade back to that curve. And then here's another curve, and the value changes again. So just like our dimple over here on the single slice, look for those value changes. It's not going to always be the same on the whole surface, especially on something organic like a leaf. Okay, all right. And so I want you to go ahead and develop your values and your form. When you're all finished with the values for form and the values for color, then come back and check your texture. So our most heavily textured area was this area right here. I have the bold texture, but the texture really comes all the way up here to this edge. So I don't probably want to make it super smooth, but I'm going to add some more marks and go from there. I might want to add some more details here at the edge. And I can change my pencil so that I can get, because we're not adding the shadow, I want to show a little bit more of the edge, so I have to make it a more hard line. If I see that the edge is a little irregular, or if I see a little piece of the skin of the peach coming through, I can go ahead and show that as well. Okay, and then I'll come back and check each object. Go the slice, then the peach, then the leaves. And remember, I also need to hold my drawing at a distance, so that helps me see if I've forgotten something, if something is too dark, if it's too light. I especially want to pay attention to what's happening with the stems here. Maybe I'll see a little bit of shadow right there in the center. Okay. So go ahead and finish your drawing. And remember, we're not doing the shadows that the peaches are casting onto the tabletop. And we'll share our drawings next time.